الحمد لله رب العالمين الذي من على المؤمنين إذ بعث فيهم رسولا من أنفسهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة والصلاة والسلام الأتمان الأكملان على سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد الذي أرسله الله بشيرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا وعلى آله وأصحابه وأولاده وأزواجه وأهل بيته ومن اهتدى بهديه واقتدى بسنته إلى يوم الدين أما بعد مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم جزى الله عنا نبينا محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم بما هو أهله. Continuing with the discussion regarding the grandfather of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abdul Muttalib, as was explained that Abdul Muttalib had surpassed all his ancestors in the honor and the high position which he had achieved. However, one of the greatest achievements and greatest accolades of Abdul Muttalib was that he was chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to rediscover the well of Zamzam. As was explained previously, when the Jurhum tribe began causing mischief in Makkah Mukarramah, then they were expelled from Makkah Mukarramah by the Khuza'ah. When the Jurhum were leaving Makkah Mukarramah, then the leader of the Jurhum, Amr ibn al-Harith, he took many of the valuable possessions of the Kaaba, gold, etc., that was donated to the Kaaba, and he dumped it in the well of Zamzam, and then he completely sealed the well of Zamzam, to such an extent that there was no traces left of the well of Zamzam. And for centuries this continued, that the well of Zamzam was completely closed without any trace whatsoever, perhaps more than 300 years, 400, 500 years possibly. There was no well of Zamzam. Until once Abdul Muttalib was sleeping in the Hatim of the Kaaba and he sees a dream. And in his dream someone tells him, "Ihfir tayba." Dig the pure thing, that which is pure. So he asked, "Wama tayba," what is that which is pure? The person who gave him that command disappeared. The next day, when he slept in the same place, he sees a similar dream, and now the command is ihfir barra. So the name changed. Dig barra. Barra means something which is precious, something which is beneficial. And obviously the well of Zamzam is extremely beneficial because of the abundance of water that comes out and the benefit of that water. So when he asked again, "Wama barra," what is barra? The person disappears. The third occasion, the third day, he sees in the dream, "Ihfir al-madnuna," that dig that which is withheld. Now the reason why the well of Zamzam was being named that which is withheld is that because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explains in a hadith that a munafiq and a hypocrite will not be allowed to drink a lot of water of Zamzam. He cannot drink a lot of the water of Zamzam, so the water of Zamzam is withheld from a munafiq, from a hypocrite. Then, on the fourth occasion, he sees ihfir Zamzam. And when he asked, "Wama Zamzam," what is Zamzam? Then the answer that is given to him is, "La tanzifu abadan wa la tudham tasqil hajij al-a'zam," that this is that which will never dry up, that water which will never dry up, and it will never be less, it will never be short, and you will feed the multitudes of Hujjaj and pilgrims that come to Makkah Mukarramah through this water. However, in this dream, the location of the well was not disclosed to him. So he goes to the Quraysh and he tells them that this is a dream that I have been seeing. 4 consecutive days he saw similar dreams. So he consults with them, "What should I do?" So they say to him that go back and sleep in the same place. If the dream is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show you the exact location of this well. And if it is from shaitan, then the shaitan will not come back to you. So he makes dua, and once again he goes and sleeps in that place. And then he sees a dream, And in this dream, he is commanded to dig the well of Zamzam. And then the location was given to him. Bain al-farthi wa dam. That this will be between the feces of an animal and between the blood of an animal. In the nukratil ghurabil a'sam. It will be at the place where the white-legged crow will peck. You will find a white-legged crow pecking in that place. In the qaryatin naml, and it will be by the colony of ants. So again, the details were given, but very vague details. So Abdul Muttalib sat in the haram, waiting to see something, some sign that will show him the location of the well of Zamzam. It so happened that in some part of Makkah Mukarramah, there was an animal, a cow that was being slaughtered. And whilst that cow was being slaughtered, it was half slaughtered and it managed to escape. So when the cow escaped, it came and ran into the haram. It ran in the precincts of the Kaaba, and it came between the two idols, Isaf and Na'ilah. We spoke about these idols previously. There were two people that made zina in the precincts of the Kaaba, and they were turned into stone. And thereafter, they were made into idols, or they were worshipped as idols. So between these two idols, this cow came and it fell there. So when it fell there, those that were slaughtering it came there and they slaughtered the animal. They took away the meat. However, the intestines, which has the feces in it, and the blood was left there. So this was one sign. Then a white-legged crow came, and it began to peck on the remains and whatever was left over of the animal. So this was the second sign. And then he searched around and he found the colony of ants there. So this was a clear indication for him that this was the place where he needed to dig. So he goes, he gets his hoe, his spade, and he only had one son at that time, his eldest son by the name of Harith. Therefore, he was known as Abul Harith, the father of Harith. So that one son came and helped him. The Quraysh tried to stop him. They say to him that, how can you dig between our idols? However, he was adamant and he insisted that I am going to dig here. He told his son to stand guard, that if anyone comes to interfere, he should defend him. And then Abdul Muttalib on his own, he began to dig. When the Quraysh saw his resolve, they realized that we're not going to be able to stop him, and they allowed him to continue. So Abdul Muttalib would dig, and his son would remove the stones, until according to certain narrations, after 3 days, Abdul Muttalib recited the takbir very loudly, because he found the stones of the original well. And then he found those valuable belongings of the Kaaba, things that were made from gold, etc. He found all of that was placed into the well and closed with the well. So he found all of that. When he recited the takbir, then he said, Hada Tawiyu Ismail. This is the well of Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam. This is the well of Zamzam. The Quraysh realized that Abdul Muttalib has found the well. Obviously it was a very, very great honor. For centuries this well was closed. But being the grandfather of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah blessed him with this honor. Now they come and they say that this well doesn't belong to you. This well is the well of our forefather, Nabi Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam, and all of us have rights in this water. Abdul Muttalib refused and he says that I was the one who was privileged to discover this well. So when they insisted, then he says to them, let's appoint someone to decide over us. Whoever you can choose, that person will decide and preside over this argument that we have, over this case, and decide in this argument that we have. So they said that there's a certain female fortune teller who lived far away in Sham. We want her to decide in this matter. Abdul Muttalib was prepared, and they all now leave Makkah Mukarramah. They were representatives from different tribes and different families of the Quraysh. Many of the family members of Abdul Muttalib also joined him. And now they begin their journey, a lengthy journey in the desert, to reach to this place in Sham for this female fortune teller to decide regarding this matter. As they were traveling en route, the water which the family of Abdul Muttalib had carried with them, that water ran out. When they asked the others to share some water with them, they refused. They say that we are traveling in a desert. It's possible that after some time our water will also be depleted. Our water will run out. So how can we offer you water when we will be in a similar predicament soon? So Abdul Muttalib now makes mashura, he consults with his people, and he says to them that we are all going to die. Now, if we are going to die, then it will be difficult for the others that are remaining, those that live longer, it's going to be difficult for them to bury the person that died. So before we die, every one of us should dig his own grave. So it makes it easier. At the end, the last person that remains, he is the only one that won't be buried. He is the only one that will perhaps be eaten up by the wild animals, but it will only be one person in that predicament. The rest will have an honorable burial. So they all dig their own graves. And now they are sitting and waiting for maut to come, for death to come. After some time, Abdul Muttalib, he says to them that this is not right. We are all men. We are all men, we have determination. And we're supposed to be trying. We can't just sit like this and wait for death to come to us. So let us try, let us travel, let us move about. And before death comes to us, let us look and search in the area, perhaps we may find some water. So he was the leader, they were happy with his suggestion, and they all decide now to depart. As the camel of Abdul Muttalib jumped up, so that he could move, water began gushing from under his camel. Fresh flowing water, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed to gush from beneath the camel. So he drank, his family members drank, they filled their utensils, and then Abdul Muttalib called the other families, the other tribes of the Quraysh that come and enjoy this water. When they see this water, they also drank from this water, and they say to him, قَدْ وَاللَّهِ قُضِيَ لَكَ عَلَيْنَا. By the oath of Allah, the decision has already been passed. We don't need to go further, the decision has already been passed. When he asked for explanation, they say and they explain that that being who has blessed you with water in this desert, he is the same being that has blessed you with the water of Zamzam. We don't have rights over that water. So they say there's no need for us to go to that fortune teller. They all return to Makkah Mukarramah and they agree that Abdul Muttalib will have rights over the water. So Abdul Muttalib would use the water of Zamzam. He would feed the Hujjaj. He would even transport the water of Zamzam to Arafah to feed the Hujjaj in Arafah. And this was that great honor that Allah had blessed him with. He had also built ponds in the precincts of the well of Zamzam, where the water would be kept and gathered to make it easy for people to drink. However, those that were jealous of him, and there were those that would be jealous, it was obvious, because such a great privilege Allah had blessed him with. So there were people that were jealous of him. At night they would come and damage those ponds that Abdul Muttalib had dug and prepared. They would come and damage those ponds. The next day Abdul Muttalib will rebuild those ponds, and then the same would happen at night. They will destroy those ponds and damage those ponds. So Abdul Muttalib was very worried. He sees a dream, and in his dream, he is instructed that he should say these words, لا أحلها لمغتسل وهي للشارب حل وبل, that I do not declare this water permissible for anyone to use it to have a bath. However, if anyone wants to drink the water, then it's absolutely permissible for him and absolutely allowed for him to drink the water. Thereafter, after he said these words, if anyone interfered with those ponds that he had dug, they would immediately be affected and afflicted with some type of sickness. And because of this, people realized that we should not interfere with these ponds of Abdul Muttalib. And in this way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed the water of Zamzam to continue from that day right till today. And the various blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed the water of Zamzam, various fadail and virtues have been mentioned by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the hadith. But this well of Zamzam, it was the privilege that was given to Abdul Muttalib, the grandfather of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, through the barakah and the blessings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that was still going to come in the world. Allah blessed his grandfather with this privilege of rediscovering the well of Zamzam that was sealed for so many centuries, and people thereafter and the world thereafter benefited from the water of Zamzam. Inshallah, we will continue. يا رب صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم وصلى الله على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين.